reach out anytime I have a question about my health or one of my kids' health and get an answer without having to go to urgent care or sit in a doctor's office with all of my kids. They can prescribe medication, run labs and tests, and take a proactive approach to your health because they have enough time to really go deep and care about you. Their awesome docs can only take a limited number of patients, so check them out and learn more by going to steadymd.com/WM. Again, steadymd.com/WM. I know from your bio that you also have a personal interest in staying really healthy and fit. So I'd love to know, on a personal note, are there any things that you've come across in your research or personal experience that you would offer to other women as tips for staying healthy?
I'd say the two things that I really try to focus the most on in my personal life. I'm active, right? I'm constantly active, whether it's running between meetings or driving kids to different sports. My exercise routine has changed over the years simply because of a time constraint. So I actually started doing sports with my kids. I was a competitive diver in college. One of my children is actually a competitive diver. So a few years ago, I would go to practice with her and I would dive with her because I had to take her anyway. And it was an opportunity for me to have some regular exercise. I don't think any 42-year-old should try to go off platform again, but this 42-year-old a couple years ago did try to go off platform again, and I injured my shoulder, which also ended my diving career. So if you're going to choose to do sports with your kids, choose it wisely. I now do a different sport with one of my other children 2 nights a week on the nights that I have to drive her just to get the exercise in. So I think my lesson in that is you really have to kind of prioritize time for you, however that fits in with your life, whether it's doing it with your kids or doing it on your own time. You really have to prioritize time for you. And included in that is prioritize time for sleep. Because if you don't have enough sleep, everything is going to start to fall apart during the day. So my number one tip is really prioritizing you in your lifestyle. And my second tip is really watching what you eat. So many people have such a busy lifestyle. It is so easy and convenient to go through a drive-through and get in that habit. My recommendation would be don't. Fast food is filled a lot of times with sodium, and it's filled with omega-6 fatty acids, which are actually bad for you. It's also part of what makes it taste good is they've got hydrogenated fats, which gives it flavor. But it's so convenient, but it's really in the long run not convenient when it's going to affect your heart health or when it's going to affect your weight or when it's going to affect how active you can be with your kids. So prioritize the food that you eat personally and the food that you serve your family. Those have probably been the two most important health and wellness tips that I've chosen to focus my effort on in my lifetime.
I love all of that so much, and especially the fact that you do sports with your kids, because that's not even something that probably crosses most of our minds, and you're there anyway. It's brilliant. I love that. And I love that you said sleep, because that has been my nemesis that I have finally conquered in the last year, and it is absolutely life-changing when you get enough sleep. I think it fixes a lot of the other problems if you just start with that.
It's so huge. And I remind people, I don't do obstetrics anymore, but when I did, and I would have the new moms come in and they would just be at their wits' end and they felt like it was never going to get better. I would remind them that A, it was temporary, that your baby will sleep through the night eventually. But B, I would remind them that in times of war, a form of torture was sleep deprivation. And so literally every night when you're getting up, you're being tortured a little bit. And it's having a profound effect on your body. So I would encourage them, even if they were breastfeeding, to pump and to be able to have a bottle so that they could at least get maybe 6 hours of straight sleep. Even if they could just start with that and get at least one REM cycle in, it would make a world of difference for how they felt the rest of the time. And so sleep is a huge priority, no matter what stage in life you're in, but especially for moms. I'm guilty of it, which is why it's a priority in my life. I will stay up extra late to get stuff done in anticipation of the next day, and it will affect my sleep. And I have to learn to let it go and just remember that it's still going to be there and it'll still get done tomorrow, that I don't have to deprive myself sleep to get it done.
I'm right there with you. For years, I would stay up late either just to have the quiet time after the kids were in bed or to get things done. And now I never thought I would be this person because I've always been a night owl, but I'm going to bed between 9 and 10. And it's been amazing because I'm naturally waking up at 6 a.m. and getting stuff done. So it's an important shift, but a hard one. I totally get the struggle.
Yep, absolutely.
So as we start to wrap up, a couple questions that I love to ask at the end. The first is, what book has had the biggest impact on your life?
So this was a hard question for me. I read a lot. I typically have 3 books going at any given time. Part of that is a time constraint. Part of that is just because I get excited about a new book when it comes out. But when I thought about this, my father is the reason why I love reading. And he read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe to me at age 2. And then he went on to finish The Chronicles of Narnia. And that book series was in my room. And it was the first book that true book, not little children's book. But when I was able to read on my own at age 4, he still laid in bed with me and I read the books to him. And I think that whole series, but especially The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, really just solidified my love of reading and how it can be shared in a family and how it can just get you on a path of being excited to read for the rest of your life.
I love that. I'm also a fan. And I've read that to my own kids. It's such a great book. Also, if you could magically give one piece of advice to everyone in the world and they could all hear it, what would that be?
We've talked so much about health and wellness. I don't think I need to tell you that's my magical piece of advice. If I had to give a magical piece of advice, and thinking especially about women, it's that while you think your struggles may be unique to you, they're actually not. And there are more people that are like you, that are different than you. And I think that goes back to having that good group of female friends as you age in life that you can depend on, not only just for help with kids and carpools, but really to make you realize that you're not alone. And that because women's bodies all eventually do the same thing, right? They all eventually go through menopause, or they all eventually go through puberty, or they, may or may not all eventually go through a pregnancy and have the changes that come with that. Having a group of women around you to just be able to say, oh my gosh, have you ever felt this way? And all those women will go, yep. And then you don't feel like you're alone. I think it's really important to have that sense of community in your life, in all stages of your life.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And this has been such a fun interview for me. For anyone listening, like I said, all the links to all the testing and everything that Dr. Francis mentioned will be in the show notes at wellnessmama.fm under this episode, so you can find them there. But thank you so much for your time and being here. I know from your bio that you are probably one of the busiest people on the planet, and I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you so much.
Katie, thank you so very much. It's been a great time for me too.
And thanks to all of you for listening, and I hope to see you again next time on the Wellness Mama podcast. If you're enjoying these interviews, would you please take 2 minutes to leave a rating or review on iTunes for me? Doing this helps more people to find the podcast, which means even more moms and families can benefit from the information. I really appreciate your time, and thanks as always for listening.